And here's a bit of what President-elect Trump had to say at his first post-election rally in Ohio.
I'm asking you to dream big again, and bold and daring things for your country will happen once again. I'm asking you to join me in this next chapter of this unbelievable and unprecedented movement as we work toward prosperity at home, peace abroad, and new frontiers in science, technology, and space. I am asking you to, is that right? Yeah. I love this guy. He's a believer. You are a believer, right? He's a believer. I'm asking you to believe in America once again. We have many challenges, but this is truly an exciting time to be alive. There's been no time like it. The script is not yet written. We do not know what the next page will read, but I'll tell you, it's going to be a great page. But for the first time in a long time, what we do know is that the pages will be authored by each one of you. Each one of you. Americans will be the captains of their own destiny once again. You know, I talk about our great movement, and you are the movement. I'm the messenger.
Leslie Sanchez, I want to bring her in as a CBSN political contributor and Republican strategist. She's with us from Houston, and Tara Palmeri is a White House reporter for Politico. We have both in-house for us tonight to kind of break down what we were just watching. Leslie, I want to start with you. What do you make of this?
You know, I think the most telling part of that was that last line. He said, Americans are the captains of this movement, that you are the captains, and he is essentially the messenger. That's where we started this conversation, that he's very much understanding what a lot of Republicans are starting to fundamentally eat that humble pie, and get that there is a massive expectation to get some of these big items done. NAFTA, he's talking about that, those reforms and changes, building the wall, immigration, repealing and replacing Obamacare, and the clock is ticking. So he's getting that, and he did mention that line, I'm going to need your support. It's a very shrewd and very important strategic move as he's getting ready to lay the foundation for some massive reforms going into the new administration.
Tara, I have to ask you, this sounded more like a victory lap. He initially started out by saying, my first objective is to thank everyone for being here and to thank them for getting him elected. Then he said the second point was to lay out his agenda. He started to do that at a couple of points, but really strayed from it quite often. Break down what you saw happen. Was this a victory lap here tonight?
For me, it was. I mean, I'm sure you seem to have the same impression. When we actually heard his victory speech the night of the election, it was a very kind of sober speech, right? He seemed very gracious. You know, he didn't have his moment in the sun. He seemed shocked. So maybe, you know, it's finally set in.
This was it?
Yeah, this was his moment. This was his I've won, thank you. Like he was in his element. It was the theater. It was all the things that Donald loves, talking directly to the people, feeding off of their energy, you know, speaking very simply. And you know, people thought that he was more diplomatic the night of the real victory speech. But, you know, now he's accepted what's happening. He feels confident. He's got his transition team moving, and he's back to being, you know, good old Donald, limelight-loving politician, businessman, celebrity, you know, CEO in chief. So we're seeing a change.
That's what we saw.
Yeah.
Leslie, I want to ask you, in some ways, is that why he brought out the vice president-elect, Mike Pence, who laid out, you know, this is how we're going to make America great again? You just saw what we did in Indiana today with bringing back 1,000 jobs. He then went into some of the problems that happened in Ohio earlier this week on the campus of The Ohio State University, talking about fighting ISIS and kind of laying out some points there. Did that allow Donald Trump to then do what he did tonight?
I think it was more a sign of a little bit of gamemanship, but also the teaming of them together, right? You have the substance and then you have the celebrity. And I think very much to the point, this was celebrity in chief. I mean, you see this, and we're starting to get a glimpse of what it's going to be like. It's something very different as it's transcending from a political campaign to governance. We thought there'd be this radical change. How is he going to govern? How are we going to? How is the press going to cover it? How are we going to think about these movements? And it's going to be a bit of this balance. It's not a secret that people expect Governor Pence, Vice President-elect Pence, to really carry the weight on the legislative policies. I've heard somebody today saying there's 1,000 people in line that want to work for him because they feel that's really where the heft of the policy work is going to be. But it's going to take a combination of both of them. I think another interesting thing is how many times there was that kind of like motion to Kasich to the governor that's not there, still not there, that void in the room, the empty chair. It was like a Clint Eastwood scene,
right?
But it was a very continuous statement and reference to somebody who got it wrong.
Yeah, Tara, I want to ask you too, along those lines, he kept saying, I've always brought people together. We're going to find common ground. Washington has tried to put us into boxes. They've spent too much time in what divides us. He really seemed to be hitting that, talking about the divisions in Washington. But then he didn't really lay out a plan to bring people together by saying at the end, this is a movement and I'm the messenger. So what is the message now moving forward for the messenger?
Well, that's the thing about President-elect Trump. He's not really a man of substance. He speaks only from, points that are more, pathos, feeling, not so much ethos. He doesn't really explain, and you get so caught up in the theater of it and the feeling, and it's in a way he's able to skirt the substance, and he can sort of play on that, on the emotion that he's able to bring. I mean, he touches people. He communicates with them better than probably any modern day politician. Even when he stops in the middle of his speeches, it's organic. He's not, it doesn't feel like he's reading off of a teleprompter. And sometimes he'll just say, oh, you over there. Yeah, right. You're a great guy. You're an okay looking guy. It's just so organic. By the way,
men, women are better.
Oh, love women. Love women. It's just so, he just talks like a regular guy. And he has this background. He's a guy from Queens. He's worked in real estate. He works with construction people. He has this kind of, working class. He's not polished in a way.
But Leslie, how does that win over the skeptics who are concerned that there isn't going to be a lot of substance? And they talk about how he hasn't taken a lot of intelligence briefings, and then he comes out and holds this kind of rally. The one point I think he kept making over and over again was about protecting the American worker and hit on wages. A lot of what he talked about on the campaign trail. But other than that, how does he win over those people that are concerned that there isn't a lot of substance there?
Well, he used a line, particularly, he talked about we shattered the blue wall. And that's where partisans get upset, is he didn't just shatter the blue wall, they didn't shatter the glass ceiling. And there's a lot of still animosity, a lot of tension between a very divided country. I think deep partisans are going to have a hard time. They will always look at him through a skeptical lens, and to the media to some extent as well. There continue to be the punching bag in his rallies, his speeches, and just a contrast to what and really exemplifying what's wrong with Washington. But to other individuals and there are people now that when you're starting to talk to people in focus groups, you're seeing some of the polling that say I didn't vote for him, but they're softening in terms of having an optimistic outlook for the country. And I think that's where this opportunity lies. Yes, it was very much a victory rally, and the tone, no, we don't expect substance coming out of this. Nobody goes there to hear a lot of substance on policy issues. They go there for the excitement because they know they're part of a movement. And I think Democrats would be very excited if they had a candidate with that kind of charisma that was that authentic. Yeah. So all of that's lining up, and that's really what this game is about.
Leslie Sanchez and Tara Palmeri, thank you.